The year is 1988. Tim Burton releases his film Beetlejuice, which, in an alternate universe, is the dominant property inside your local Hot Topic, supplanting Invader Zim as the annoying teenage girl's choice in playful goth attire. In another universe, Tim Burton stuck with the original working title of House Ghosts, which I don't think would have made the film as successful as it was.
Come on, kids, let's go see House Ghosts.
It doesn't have quite the same ring. Apparently, the title Scared Sheetless was genuinely considered also, but as far as I know, that one is still up for grabs. Let us put our attention to our universe, in which 36 years after the film's release, it gets a sequel. How about that? It's not like the film's niche. I mean, more than a cult following, I imagine. People probably line up every Halloween to rewatch this film on their list of Tim Burton films and other Halloween movies, right? I mean, certainly it's a household name, even if it shouldn't be said 3 times. Surprising it took this long. Here's the crash course on my experience. It was just October, so naturally they were playing the film on TV. I figured I'll endure the commercials, I sat down, and I rewatched it. It's a very solid movie. It's very cute, but it still has macabre dressing, that Burton charm, which I can only say is least from the fact that Tim Burton is a necrophiliac. Frankly, my largest shock was it opens up with Alec Baldwin. That's right, Alec Baldwin's in this movie. He's quite young. He's twink mode in this. He is, the ghost. Insert joke where Alec Baldwin makes ghosts these days. He's one of the 2 housed ghosts. He and his wife die in a car accident. It becomes the ghost house. That's the setup. I want to talk about the sequel, Beetlejuice. Oh dear, I just said his name 3 times. If I was the nostalgia critic, I would have had Malcolm dress up like Beetlejuice for you, but I'm not going to put on so much of a show, I just want to talk about the sequel. Here's the whole reason I'm making the video. And usually I don't talk about films, I'm usually talking about fringe literature, so a little unusual for me, but the sequel, a little unusual as a film. It's not that good. It's fine, it's not great. It's not good like the first film, I should say. And to write along a little bit more about the first one, the first one has a very simple plot. It's, as I was saying, 2 ghosts in a house, people move in, they're yuppies, how awful, they want to haunt them out. It's a very simple premise, and I think that's the strength of the first film. But what is the plot of the sequel? Well, here's where the ball is fumbled. 36 years later, Winona Ryder reprises her role as alt-girl icon Lydia Deetz. No longer does she hang out with the ghost she befriended in the first film. Now she has her own TV show where she talks about her experiences with the supernatural. She can still see ghosts, that's her shtick. Think Peter Venkman, she's like that in Ghostbusters too. She has her own TV show. She's washed up, I guess. My, what the years do to us. 36 years later, Michael Keaton has aged like shit, which to say for Beetlejuice the character, he's aged like a fine wine. If you don't know, the titular character is sort of the standout here, and if you didn't know that, why are you listening to me? Why didn't you watch the films? Why are you here? Beetlejuice is a bioexorcist. I love that term, bioexorcist. He scares away, he's a demon, he scares away people who move into haunted houses. It's, again, quite cute. We're introduced to him in the first film when he opens up a newspaper and he's like, let's see what's in the business section. And it's the obituary section he's looking at, which is the best way I can describe the charm of the character in these films. He has expanded, I suppose. He's got his own little army of lackeys, the shrunken-headed Bobs, kind of a gag character, I guess. His character's called Harry the Hunter in the first film, but I'm just going to call him and the witch doctor Bob. They're all just Bob to me. There's a bunch of them, and they work for Beetlejuice for some reason now. I'm not sure. Actually, I know exactly why. It's because Bob is iconic. We all remember his head getting shrunk at the end of the film, so it's funny. But I guess that's why that was used. Just go with it. Just fuck you, just go with it. Imagine wanting answers. In the spirit of fuck you, just go with it, Beetlejuice is periodically gaslighting, I guess, Lydia, Like, he just kind of shows up in crowds, and he's like, hey, look at me. And he's gone when she looks back. When she does her double take, he's gone. I guess this is to establish, like, he's a looming presence. It seems, that's, at the start of the film, though, this seems to be a new development. And he does it, like, maybe 2 or 3 times. Foreshadowing he's coming back, but strange. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter because we have to move the plot along. We're introduced to Lydia's daughter, played by Jenna Ortega, who is a sharp casting, I say. She's the girl from that Wednesday TV series, so a similar aesthetic and vibe, you know, the Addams Family, Beetlejuice, so a good mix there, that's my opinion. Her name is Astrid, that's a good name for her, Astrid Dietz. So she's our new character, and we'll come back to her. I have a lot to say in her. I want to touch base on the character of Lydia Dietz's parents. This is interesting. I have 2 big takes that kind of define what this film is because of the parents.
Why would Tim Burton do this?
Lydia's father is Charles Dietz. He's a bird watcher. He's a well-to-do person from New York City. Let's break the wall here. In real life, he's played by Jeffrey Jones, the great Jeffrey Jones. He's what we call in the business a PDF file, you know? He took a slow boat to Epstein Island. He, a bird watcher in the film, a Shota consignor in real life. Which is to say, this man could not be brought back in production. This is a tainted person. So, I didn't even know that until I was discussing, you know, my viewing experience with my friend, and he just dumped that on me. And this little known fact, I feel like I'm spreading. I feel like I'm talking about how everyone talks about the character from Harvester is one of those people also. He's in the sequel, and he's in it in a capacity, and this is my problem here, is he really shouldn't have been, this character shouldn't have been brought back. Like, they really abandoned, I mean, you couldn't bring back Alec Baldwin either, but the ghosts from the first movie are completely dropped, and it's so strange they stuck to Lydia Dietz's parents, brought them back. They use claymation, stop motion, whatever, it's an animated segment to show Charles Dietz on a plane. It's like a humiliation ritual because the plane crashes. He was going to go bird watching, crashes in the ocean. He gets his head bitten off by a shark in this little animation. This is very early on in the film. Lydia's artist mother, the terrible modern artist mother, explains this little bit. And periodically throughout the film, we'll see a headless actor walking around. It's played for a laugh. He doesn't have a head, you know, he sounds muffled. He's like, I gotta get back to my family. And it's like, well, I mean, I know, every time I see him, it's like, I know why you're not in the film. And then there's the character of Lydia Dietz's mother, Dahlia, I think. I don't like this character. In fact, here comes some criticism. This character is bad? Not that, like, oh, she's a terrible artist and she's a snob. No, like, in the sequel, there are so many scenes circled around her, and I don't like this character. It's like, you know, we have a film about Beetlejuice. Everyone loves Beetlejuice. Well, you know what? Get him off camera. Let's give 6 scenes to Dahlia Dietz, and she could do jokes. She could do modern art jokes. They're all awful. I hate them. She is. I feel I have a insight, like a medium insight, like Lydia can see ghosts. I have one too. I have this ability too. That it's almost like I sense the actress was like, I was in the first movie. I didn't diddle kids. You let me in, and I can have like 6 scenes about me doing. You can have a joke for me. So there's a lot of her in this movie, and it's a lot of crap. You could say that Lydia is a mother now. There's a relationship between Lydia and Astrid, and perhaps that relationship can be reflected with Lydia's relationship with Dahlia. But I don't think that justifies it. I don't think that's good enough, because this character, very, very dry. I want to see Beetlejuice. I want to see the spooky crap, you know. Let's talk about Astrid a bit. A character who doesn't want to see spooky stuff. She doesn't believe in it. She only believes in what she can see. Astrid is a skeptic. She's kind of rebellious to her mother, just like how Lydia had trouble with her parents, and so it goes again this generation, right? You can't really say, I mean, she's conscientious of, like, stuff about the environment. We don't see her doing activist stuff, but she worries about, like, you know, I can see climate change, that's something we should worry about. Don't believe in ghosts, I can't see ghosts. She's, and it's not played too bad either. Like, it's not obnoxious. The film establishes she's intelligent, like, she reads Crime and Punishment, she knows about Dostoevsky. And so does this other character. You see, Astrid, in a scene, because the plot demands it, is riding her bicycle. She rolls down a hill with it. She goes down a hill with it, crashes through a fence. She bumps into a tree. There's a tree house in the tree, and from that tree house pops the head of... I hate that I remember the name of the character. I shouldn't remember it, but his name is... And he's like a teenager. He's an adolescent like her. His name is Jeremy Fraser. It's such a whatever name, but it's Jeremy Fraser she meets, and there's sort of a love fling plot line. And let's talk about the actual plot now. The plot in Beetlejuice. Stop saying it. It's a mess. It's a mess. Up until like 3/4 into the movie, where everything kind of comes together and we got a climax. The majority of the movie is like 3 unrelated plot threads that barely interject with each other, intertwine. They barely intertwine with one another. Only until like the end, so they're very unrelated, and it hurts the movie. So, I mean, I don't know how else to do it. Let's just list off what these 3 plot lines are. Like, the first is, as I mentioned, a little love fling with Astrid and Jeremy Fraser. Hate that I know his name. It's kind of unremarkable as a romance. I was kind of rolling my eyes at it, actually. I was like, oh, so my assumption was we have the ghost couple from the first movie, so I figured, okay, this is the new generation. We can see a new romance bloom or whatever. I'll come back to this. We'll come back to this one. The other plot line, and I almost forgot about this. This is bad. This is bad. It tells you it's bad. The other plot line is, I'm just going to call her this. It's Beetlejuice's ex-wife's plot line. Early on in the movie, we see the cameo of Danny DeVito. He's a ghost janitor, and he's like in the bureaucratic ghost world. He's cleaning, and he accidentally bumps into basically these crates full of body parts of Beetlejuice's ex-wife, and she's shocked. There's like a cord in the wire. She's shocked back to life, and she puts herself back. She literally puts herself back together as a whole. She is trailer bait. This woman is trailer bait. She looks like Morticia, I think, from the Addams Family. More parallels there. And her plotline is, she stitches herself back together, and then she kills Danny DeVito's ghost. She can kill ghosts. Here's a lore dump. We have soul suckers in this universe. This is the weakest of the 3 plot lines. The most nothing. It's the dud, Like, her story is she's out for revenge against Beetlejuice. Oh, man, there's a scene where she, like, ruthlessly soul sucks this undead Chinese laundry mat worker, so undeserved. And in her storyline, we have Willem Dafoe's in this. He's a ghost detective, and he's like, I'm hunting down your ex-wife. He's got a great gag where there's like always a secretary behind him, always appearing like out of nowhere to give him a cup of coffee. So as he's rambling about his like detective case, he's always getting a cup of coffee. He goes up to Beetlejuice. He's like, you might want to hang low for a bit, and it's because he knows the ex-wife's coming after him. And Beetlejuice, he has like this funny, like, his eyes pop out of his head scene, more trailer bait, reacting, oh, my ex-wife is back. But in actuality, he's got very little agency, very little care in the plot about this. But we do get a origin story, a backstory for how Beetlejuice, met his ex-wife and why she's trying to kill him. And this is actually a pretty good gag. I like this. I like this a lot, actually. He's talking to the Bobs, and this is one of the weak suits. Is like Beetlejuice has a lot of scenes with his Bobs, his workers, and they don't talk. Their mouths are stitched, so he's just rambling like I am. And he gives us the origin story, and this is a great gag because like all of a sudden it's dramatic. It's like a Fellini movie. I think that's what the homage was. Black and white. He's speaking Italian. He's dubbed in Italian.
Ero un umile ladro di tombe. Esercitavo il mio mestiere tra I cadaveri degli...
He's a gravedigger. People thought he was a demon. Nope, his origin was a gravedigger, which is great, I think, because if this is true, because he could be, a crock of shit. If it's true, in life, he was messing with the dead, and in death, he messes with the living. I'm looking too deep into this. Anyways, he's a gravedigger. He meets Morticia, his ex-wife-to-be, and she's like part of a death cult, and she is going to kill him after the marriage is consummated. But he gets the drop and he kills her. But now she's back because of slapstick shenanigans of Danny DeVito dropping a cord in the wire, and she's back, and now she's after Beetlejuice to kill him. And it's a really whatever plot line because it's literally, it is legit. It's just set up so she can just show up at the end. But let's wait till the end for that. Because we have our third plot line. It's also pretty whatever. It's Lydia's manager. She has a relationship with her manager, and he wants to marry her. He pressures her into a marriage set on Halloween, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. He's kind of, this character is sort of the spiritual successor to Ortho, the fat guy from the first movie. You know, just one of those sleazy types. You root for their comeuppance in a Burton film. Exactly that. That's all he is. So those are our three plot lines that are very shy about touching each other. They at least wait till the climax, 3/4 in, to kind of come together. So let's get to that. Worthwhile spoilers for Beetlejuice, and spoilers for the movie Scream in a few moments. I want to talk about Jeremy Fraser. I remember his name. Here's why I remember his name. This is the character that decides, you know what? This is a movie, right? Let's get the plot going. It is this kid in town, this teen in town, that decides, you know what? Let's actually get these plot threads together, huh? I quite like this actually. He has a little his romance with Astrid. They kiss in his bedroom, and Astrid's like, "Whoa, we're floating," and she drops down. It's like, "Oh, you're a ghost." She doesn't do that. Don't worry, she does not do that. But she's like, "Whoa, you're a ghost. Oh my god, this stuff my mom talked about is real." So yeah, Jeremy Fraser's a ghost. He's like, "Yeah, surprise." And Jeremy Fraser's like, here's this plot point.
Thanks.
Astrid, where's Astrid's father? Right? He died, fishing accident or something. You want to go see him? That's basically the plot. Astrid's like, "Oh, I wish I could say goodbye to my dad." He's like, "Well, come with me to bureaucratic ghost world, and we can see him." Here's an aside: the universe of Beetlejuice, the ghost world, it's so bureaucratic. It's funny. Death is that's the joke. It's just bureaucracy in the afterlife. And here's a shout out for the people you encounter, the dead there. What I love about them in this one, equal to the ones I love in the first one, just the characters you see there. Because, oh my god, it's like seeing a moon scorched, if you know what Fear and Hunger is. It's just, when you see a spirit in this ghost world, you just know exactly how they died. In the sequel, in this one, there's a burnt up Santa Claus. He's obviously, oh, he went down a chimney, he fucking burned in the fireplace. It's funny. They're always funny. They're little jokes. They're really the highlights of the film. And that's the whole gag. It's just, this is the afterlife. In the afterlife, you die, it's just a waiting room. Everyone's just sitting in the waiting room. And you can see, you're looking around, you just know exactly how everyone else died. They're wearing it on their sleeve. Shocking twist. Jeremy Fraser's a bad boy. He takes Astrid Dietz to this world so he can do the old switcheroo. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna actually trap you here, and I am going to go back to the living because I'm actually a psycho killer." So it's revealed that Jeremy Fraser killed his parents back in the 90s. Just a few years after the events of the first movie, he killed his parents, and police cornered him in his treehouse, and he fell and snapped his neck. He's showing off this bruise on his neck. And so there's some kind of rule, because there's always rules. Yeah, I can trap you here, and I get to go back to life. That's the rule. It's a trade. It's a fair exchange. It's Full Metal Alchemist, right? And I want to take a moment to explain why I really like this twist, because there's clues. There's actual clues. There's actually thought put into this. Astrid goes to his room. It's whoa, look at all these records. It's like walking into the 90s. It's like a room from the 90s. And he's like, "Oh, Jeremy Fraser is like, yeah, I just, I like collecting records. Where do I get them? Oh, garage sales." Also, he has there's a manual in these movies, the guide to the recently deceased. He has a copy. It's you think maybe at first, oh, what does he have? It's just a reference to the first movie, and he plays it off "Oh yeah, I picked that up at a garage sale." It's oh, I guess I could. I'm a fool. I fell for that. But no, because he was a ghost. He became a ghost. So of course he has that book. Of course, if he died in the 90s, his room looks like it's from the 90s. And then we only saw the back of his parents before, so when Astrid already falls for the trap, but when Lydia barges in, she sees the blade saw in her his dad's head. There's an egg beater sticking out of his mom's face. So it's oh yeah, they got murdered. So it gets a little tasty here. See, this is the whole point. This is really where it actually begins. Trailer bait lady, right? Beetlejuice's ex-wife. She does not advance the plot. She just shows up at the end. So we have scenes with her periodically, just to get a few gags out of Willem Dafoe being Ghost Detective Man. But she didn't get the plot going. It was this Jeremy Fraser kid. I hate that I know his name. So we gotta wonder who's the big bad. And it's not him, because if Jeremy gets written off, it's Beetlejuice, because they rescue Astrid, And it's like, well, Beetlejuice is like, well, I rescued Astrid. So how about you marry me? Because, that was the deal Lydia makes with him.
It's just like the first movie.
I'm summarizing. We just get to the point. Because here's a point how dumb the other two plot lines were. In the final confrontation, there's a church scene because Beetlejuice is like, well, I'm gonna get this marriage out of you. But then the ex-wife shows up, and there's this whole scene with like the manager who wants to be the husband, and it's so bad. Like how do we wrap this up is basically the ending. I'll tell you how. Astrid gets a piece of chalk, she draws on the ground, becomes a trapdoor when she knocks on it, because knock 3 times, that's how you open up to the portal to the other world, and hey, finally, after like waiting till the end of the movie, we see the big sandworms, which are the classic, other icon of the first one. The worm shows up, and it just gobbles up. That's it. Literally, there's no great confrontation between Beetlejuice and Beetlejuice's ex-wife. Like, she just bursts into the church, like, I'm here to die now. Okay, she gets gobbled up in the same bite as the sleazy guy that wants to be Lydia's husband, and he gets truth serum, and he's like, I'm just trying to get more money out of this. That's why I wanted to marry you. I'm like, oh, you piece of shit, go die, you chud, and he does, and so does Beetlejuice's ex-wife. And then, hey, look at that, the last antagonist is Beetlejuice. He's like, I'm gonna get the marriage, and then I'm summarizing. And Astrid's like, actually, you violated the contract here. And he's like, gulp, I guess you're right. Time to die. That's it. I guess that was the whole fucking movie. That was Beetlejuice. When I look back on it, it's just like, what was the point of Beetlejuice's ex-wife? Like, she literally just had I told you already. She's there to give you Beetlejuice's origin. We get a couple scenes because Willem Dafoe's the better, performance out of, her. Willem Dafoe's only in this because, he's got to be a detective chasing her down. She shows up, kill a couple, who cares characters. And then that's it. She really just shows up. She just shows up at the end to die. I'm grabbing my hair. Why? Think Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3 is kind of flawed because we got 3 villains in Spider-Man 3. We got Sandman, Venom.
He's called Hobgoblin.
Those guys don't even team up. 2 of them don't even team up together until the end of the film. And it's basically they take turns. It's like hot potato. Like, I am currently the antagonist and Spider-Man beats up one of them, hot potato. I'm going to be the antagonist. They take turns. Like, aren't you guys kind of stepping on each other's toes? Exactly the same issue in this film. These 3 plot lines, well, I'm the focus. I think the ex-wife, she could have had another film. She could have had her own a 3rd film. She could have had it. There's talk of Tim Burton, I'll be back in another 36 years to do the next film. I think the movie should have given him a different name, for God's sake. But Jeremy Fraser could have been the villain, or before he gets usurped by Beetlejuice. But make him the focus, because I kind of like that 90s twist. I'm sorry, remember I said there's gonna be a spoiler for Scream? Because he's from the 90s, he could have been like a stand-in for Billy Loomis. Like, I'm the crazy kid in the 90s that got so junked up on violent media. Now I'm the violent psycho. I'm the twist villain. I'm the guy. I'm the 90s teenager that's psyched out, and I'm the killer. He's not like that. He's actually kind of like Goody Two-Shoe in personality. So it's like contrasting the fact that he's a killer. It was there. Just, you already had him built up. You should have worked with him. And again, I'm just praising him because he decided to kick the movie into gear. Could have been a movie about, hey, Zoomer Beetlejuice? That's all. There was just too many villains stepping on each other's toes. They should have prioritized one. And I don't like that the parents from the first movie are back. It's kind of watered it down. As for what happened to the ghosts from the original, they get one mention right off. It's like we found a loophole and they were able to pass on. It's like, go with it. Fuck you. At least we got 16 more minutes of Beetlejuice screen time. One last tangent. A 36-year time difference. Did they capitalize well on that difference? It's a difference in technology, new era. All I can think of is the smartphone gag. At the church at the end, the streamers and attendants, they get sucked into their phones. I don't think they come back. Beetlejuice is a funny guy. Go ahead and watch it for him. But they probably should have just done Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian 3 decades ago. Join me in 3 decades from now, and we'll talk about spooky people from media, ghoulish characters in media, like Frankenberry and Candlejack and... Oh,